What's the story you keep telling? What's the story that goes round and round in your head that prevents you from doing what's required, doing the work that is necessary, that prevents you from actually making the decision? It's not an excuse. That's not just some bullshit reason of why you can't do it. What is the story that's holding you back? Because there is a story. There is 100% a story going round and round your head. Everyone has them. Some are positive, some are negative, some improve our lives, some are detrimental. It just all comes down to the stories we tell ourselves. And that's why some of the simplest advice is the most effective and yet so incredibly difficult to actually implement. And that is that if you change the story, you change your life. It's that simple. Change the story, change your life. Because everything we have in our life, everything that goes on, everything that transpires and happens for us is built on the story we tell ourselves. Is built on the story that's going round and round in our head. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have the opportunity. They were blessed. They were gifted. They had the opportunities. Whatever the story is, that is the thing that is holding you back from achieving the life that you want, from achieving everything that you know you want, need, and deserve. So the question becomes, how do we change the narrative? How do we change the story? Because every time you repeat that story to yourself, every time it comes up again, you are reinforcing that story of who you are. Every time you tell someone, that's just my luck, I'm an unlucky person, or things never work out for me, or, I can't get in shape because of my genetics, or I don't have time to do that. You reinforce the narrative that is truth. You are telling your subconscious mind and your habits and everything that is the truth. That is what's transpiring. Which is not. It's just a story in your head. But it's a story that you keep telling yourself. A story repeated enough times becomes reality, becomes your truth. So if you change your story, you change your life. It doesn't get much more simple than that. So how do we start changing that story? How do we start changing the voice in your head? Start by not saying the negative things about yourself. Catch yourself saying those things. You don't have bad luck. You're the luckiest person on the planet. You do have time. You just prioritize your time differently. You do have the opportunities. You just haven't found them yet. Start changing the narrative that comes with it, and everything in your life will change. It is truly that simple. And that's why we make excuses, because they fit the narrative that we've got going on. And I think oftentimes the worst excuses are the ones that are semi-valid. They are the worst ones, where you're like, I don't have time, I'm really busy. I'm sure you are really busy, but you still have fucking time. You still have the opportunity to go do stuff. You still have 24 hours in a day. You've just allocated them to things. So change the allocation. Change what things get allocated to. It always amazes me when people are like, I don't have time to exercise. I can change your entire life. Not just your physical appearance, but your entire life, your health, your fitness, everything about it, with an hour and a half a day. That's it. And most people are like, oh, well, I just don't have time to dedicate that to myself. Okay, so if I look at your phone, how much time do you spend on your phone a day? If we could track what you do utilize your time on, if we could do a 15 15-minute audit, an audit of your time every 15 minutes, would all of that time be allocated to things that matter? I can nearly guarantee you that the answer is no. Because I know people who are incredibly busy and still make time for exercise, who still make time for the things that matter. So no, it's not that you don't have time, you're making a choice. You know, my genetics don't allow it. Cool, your genetics might make it harder, but it's not that it doesn't make it not allow it. I have never met anyone whose genetics categorically prevent them from achieving results and improving their life. Look, you might not get the most incredible results. You might not turn around and be a supermodel. You might not turn around and be the cover model of Men's Health, but you can categorically get better. So it's not your genetics. You still make choices. And the amount of times when people are like, oh, it's my genetics, and then you talk about what they eat, and I'm like, it's not your fucking genetics. It's the choices that you've made. It's the decisions that you make. It's about what you fucking put in your mouth. It's about how little exercise you do, how infrequently you move, how infrequently you push yourself. We all have these stories around the things that prevent us from doing the things that we know we want to do, that we should do, that we are called to do, that our life would fucking change if we did. They're just stories. So do you know how you start getting better at them? Do you know how you start seeing true change? You fucking start changing the story. And you start changing the story by doing the work. You start changing the story by showing up and doing what is required. And then catching yourself every time you hear that little voice say something that isn't fucking true. You have the capacity to do anything you want in this life. You have the capacity to be anything you want. You can change your life at the drop of a hat if you make that decision. If you make the decision to be the best version of yourself, to actually commit. So stop telling yourself that it can't be done, because it can be done. You're just deciding not to do it. And they are very, very different things. You know? And this is the part where you need to make a decision about who you're going to be and the choices that you are going to make in this life. Because you have the capacity. You have the capacity right now to transform your life. You have the capacity to achieve everything that you've wanted in this life. But it starts between your ears. I got a comment the other day about, it wasn't a silver bullet, but it was a shift in mindset. The mind controls everything. Your attitude, your determination, your discipline, your choices around what happens. It all comes from the mind. So you've got to start with that. It's why how I design my programs are designed to get you connected to your thought process, designed to get you back in control of your mental capacity, to build discipline, to build grit, to build fortitude, to build focus. Because that's what's going to change every part of your life. That's what's going to dictate everything else in your life. That's the stuff that's going to matter, that's going to make a difference, that's going to change so much. That's why we talk about change your story, change your life. Because you're so addicted to the current story. You're so addicted to your current reality that you'll actually sabotage yourself from achieving the things that you want. You'll actively sabotage yourself. You'll give in to the resistance and not do the work that is going to transform your life. That's going to allow you to change everything. You have to change the thoughts in your head, because your reality is dictated by your thoughts, your actions, and your habits. That's it. They're the only things that you're in control of. They're the only things that you can actually have an influence on. Everything else after that is out of your control. So start taking control of those things. Start dictating your thoughts. Start changing your story. Start changing the words you use to describe yourself. If you're one of those people who low-key, bags on yourself, who degrades yourself, who says shit about it, it's like, oh, well, that's because I'm a fucking idiot. Oh, that's right. That's why it happened, because I'm an idiot, or I'm stupid, or, whatever it might be. Stop saying that shit. It ain't fucking true. Even down to the one of luck. This is one I catch people on all the time. They're like, that's just my luck. And, so lo and behold, things continue to happen that are unlucky to you. Whereas I firmly believe I'm the luckiest man on the planet. Everything is always working out for my highest good. Everything is always working out for me. And I say that. When things go right, I say, that's just my luck. Things worked out again for me. Money fell into my lap. That's just my luck. Opportunity fell into my lap. That's just my luck. Because I'm lucky. I'm damn lucky. And then I work hard on top of that, which makes me luckier. But I change the narrative. I change the story associated with this. I change the things that go round and round in my head. I choose carefully the thoughts I have. And when I have bad thoughts, because they're still going to come, they're still going to happen. You can't avoid having negative thoughts. You can't avoid having that voice in your head say shit that you don't want to believe or agree with. You can't avoid that. But what you can avoid is how you respond to it. So every time something like that happens, every time there is a negative thought process that runs through my head, I try and catch it as soon as humanly possible. I try and cut it off at the knees and be like, fuck no. That is not who I am. That is not who I'm going to be. That is not how I'm going to live this life. So I break it up. I make sure that I don't let that be a thing. That I don't let that be the decision that is made. Because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to let that toxicity soak into who I am. I don't want to let it become part of my choices and how I define myself. And it doesn't take long for negative and toxic thoughts to overrun your thought process, to then overrun your reality. You ever notice that people whose lives are always going wrong, how things are always happening to them that they don't want to happen? You ever notice how they talk about that? How they talk about themselves? How they think and frame situations? As I said, like the luck one. Oh, that's just my luck that would happen again. Why? Why is it that your luck is bad luck? Choose good luck. We are firmly in control of our thoughts, our actions, and our habits. Start acting like it. Stop letting life come to you. Stop letting it be like, well, this is what it is. No, make a decision about it. The greatest power we have in any situation is always our thoughts and how we respond to things. So if something goes wrong, how you frame it is what will determine if something went wrong. Depends on how woo-woo and down that path you want to get, but the ones I always use is, that was just a timeline shift. That thing happened that I didn't want because I was going down the wrong path. And whether that's true or not, it stops me going into a tailspin and spiraling out about things that aren't within my control. And as I said, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be nailed. But I can at least stay in control of the narrative. I can stay in control of the thoughts that I'm having, and the choices that I'm making. Because that's all I can truly control. I can't control what happens to me. I can't control what people say and do. I can't control how people respond. I can't control the outcome of the actions I take. But what I can control is my thoughts, my actions, and my habits. I can control those. And as I said, that is the most beautiful thing, because it means if you don't like your life, If you aren't happy with where you're at, if you aren't satisfied with it, fucking great. You now have the opportunity to do something about it, to make a change for the better. You are in control. So fucking act like it. Act like it. Your thoughts, your habits, and your actions control your reality. So start dictating and controlling your reality. Start making the choices that are going to make it better. Change the story that keeps flowing around in your head. And it will take time. It will take time and effort and practice to truly change the story. But you have to keep showing up. And you have to keep trying to change the narrative. You have to decide that you will not accept this narrative. You will not accept this story. You will not let that dictate your reality. You're in control. So act like that's the case. Act like you have the opportunity to change it. And hell, even if it's not just for you, do it for your kids. Do it for those around you. Do it for your friends and family. Do it for others. Because if you're a negative Nelly, nobody fucking wants to be friends with a negative Nelly. Start changing those terminologies. And especially if you have children. I cannot emphasize that enough. The words you use will become their words. And they will pick up on how you just talk. Not just about them, but about yourself. All that kind of stuff. It amazes me how frequently I notice that my kids are using sentences and phrases that come out of my mouth regularly. And I'm like, oh, they're paying attention. Oh, they're mimicking me. If I'm setting the standard for them, what kind of standard am I setting? If you're constantly telling yourself that you're an idiot, that, things never work out for you, that shit always goes wrong, what kind of lesson is that teaching to your kids? Because you're their hero. You are absolutely their hero. You're going to be your daughter's first love and your son's first hero. So think about that message that you are sending to them. Think about the story you are creating that they're going to base their entire life off. It fucking matters, the story that you tell. Change your story, change your life. And clearly it's a fucking thing, because even down to my daughter has a book called Troll, which is literally on this topic. They're starting to work out that the words that people use will dictate their life. The words that people describe themselves with will dictate their life. So, if my 4-year-old can start learning these things, I think you can too. I think it's time that you actually change the game on this, that you actually started to change your story. You actually started to be conscious of the story that's going around and around in your head. Because I can guarantee if you aren't happy with your life, that story in your head, the things that you keep telling yourself on repeat, has a hell of a lot to do with it. It has a lot of what's going on around that. So start changing it. Start telling a different version. Start deciding to be a different version of you. And that just starts with that story. It is the simplest and easiest way to change your life. You just start with a decision. I am going to change my life. And then you can pick whatever version that is. It is. It's the whole concept of fake it till you make it. I prefer to think of it as act as if. But act as if you're already that guy. If you want to be the most disciplined man alive, if you want to be a man who keeps his word, who has a track record of doing the work, of doing what he said he would do and achieving the results that he wants, simply decide that you're that man and then act as if you were already that guy. What would the best version of you do in this situation? What would a disciplined man do in this situation? You wake up, it's cold, you're tired, you don't feel like getting out and doing your 45-minute weighted walk. What would the disciplined version of you do? What would a man who has a zero-choice mentality do? What choice would he make? What would your ideal version of you do? What choice would he make? Then fucking do it. And sooner rather than later, you'll discover that you are that man, that you don't need to ask that question anymore because you just know. You know the answer because you're already that guy. That's how you get better. That's how you change your life. That's how you see progress moving forward. So that's really it. It's really that simple. You know, like most of the things I share on here, it's very simple. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's sure as shit simple. So the question is, are you ready to do that? Are you ready to make that change? Are you ready to do what's required? Are you ready to change the story? Change the narrative in your head? If you are, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness. Let's start the process and get you moving forward to start being the man that you know you should be, just by changing your story and changing the actions that you take. If you're not quite there, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. Lastly, if you took value from this, if it was something of note, if you feel that someone else could benefit from it, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. I share from the front. I share this story by, living it. These are the lessons I'm learning from living this life. So I'm here every single day to lead by example, to inspire you, and hopefully help you transform your life. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.